Well, life goes on, and so does the show. And we turn now to Marilyn Mohr and her adventures, author of, among other things, this book by Cross-Cultural Communications, Satchel.
Thank you.
In this convenient travel size, guaranteed to fit into any satchel. There goes my microphone. Thing needs a valve job. All
right.
Let's see, you've been on TV and radio, like us, 400 festivals and multicultural events and universities and synagogues and bookstores, and Satchel was published in 1992. Let's see, what is Running the Track?
That's my first book.
That was
1981.
Aesopus Press?
Aesopus Press.
Aesopus. Who were they?
That was a small press in Woodstock.
Woodstock, see? Up in the North Woods.
Yes, we used to live in the country as well.
And you've been in Lips and Response and Noctiluca?
Yes.
Where did he get a name like Noctiluca?
I don't know where they got that name. It's a lovely journal. Comes out of Boston.
Fascinating. And you co-coordinate the Poets Forum at the JCC of Metropolitan New Jersey. The JCC?
Yeah, Jewish Community Center. It's the longest-running poetry series in New Jersey.
And where they have some
it's
considerably
19
long
years.
ones.
Yes, 19 years.
And still talking.
And still talking.
All right, let's see. The Avodah Dance Ensemble choreographed a poem. Tsena, how did they manage that?
I did a reading, and the choreographer heard my work and chose that poem and used it as part of their repertoire.
So they were able to match movements to the images.
I didn't necessarily agree with the movements, but I can't interpret dance, and it was a very interesting interpretation of the poem.
Recently, my poetry was signed for the first time, and I couldn't quite figure out what I was saying. So interpretation can be tricky. You also have something called Klez Poets.
Yes, a musician has put music to my words and to my poetry, and she uses some traditional Jewish music or some jazz. She's a jazz musician, and we perform together sometimes.
Clarinets and things?
Clarinets, piano. She can play a lot of different instruments.
All at the same time?
That would be clever. She plays kalimba, and she plays all kinds of exotic instruments as well, but not all at the same time.
What could be more exotic than a kalimba?
I don't know. She's got a bird whistle, lots of interesting things. But to me, the clarinet or the violin, which she does not play, are the sounds that would go, at least with my Jewish American work.
All right, how about a poem?
Okay, I'm going to read the title poem to the book, Satchel.
That's this book, in case we've forgotten.
We are wanderers, known to some for the speed with which we gather our possessions. As fast as a fleeing Jew, they say. Always have a satchel packed beneath your bed, with a change of clothes, a prayer shawl, and a book. Always the book. Imagine if our legacy had been the image, not the word. Groups of exhausted Jews limping into towns burdened with statues and pictures hauled across the continents. God was merciful in forbidding us this, holding our covenant to the message, not the message bearer or the symbol. Beneath my bed, there is a satchel. It is packed with words.
Is this one of the poems that was adapted by the Klez Poets?
Yes. Yes. And I don't have the music that she chose, but yes, she does that with music as well.
What sort of instruments were used on that one?
I think she used piano with satchel. Yeah. Spider Plants, which I don't remember whether we put music to or not, I wrote after listening to Isaac Asimov speak about what he considered the major issue of our time.
Must be dedicated to his sideburns.
Well, it was dedicated to his very profound mind. Spider plants. They are green, gravid and fecund, sprouting offspring from their long, thin wombs thriving in the moderate soil. They are the whores of the plant world, mating with dirt and sun. Unmindful of the children that crowd their shoots, that push them from their pots, they grow and grow ignorant of the diminishing elements, of how they exhaust their homes, how they limit the nutrients, how finite the earth is. I cannot root them all. They are too prolific for the clay. They must accommodate to cardboard. Consigned to cartons, they will live lives of clutter, climbing over each other. Hungry children, eager for the light, grow themselves into a jungle, pursue procreation as their parents do, choking out their source.
Did Isaac Asimov ever get to hear that poem?
No. I think he passed away before that. And I heard him at the UN, and we had dinner afterwards, because my publisher, Stanley Barkan, also published him as well.
I know that he knew him, but I didn't realize...
he had published some of his work early on.
I didn't realize he had published him. Also, please don't be disturbed by if any strange noises in the background, because in deference to Isaac Asimov, the Orange Bear is a UFO landing site.
Yes, well, I'm sure it's open to many things.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But we're open to another poem.
Okay. This is Thursdays, and I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, and it's a memory of that time and the pattern of our lives. Thursdays. The brigade of housewives marches down the avenue, spearheading to the shops, armed with steel shopping carts, mounting the attack on the kosher butcher. The first victors emerge with fine pullets, unhatched eggs, and chicken feet. The Sabbath soup will be rich and yellow with these spoils. They trek back laden with fruit and meat, dill and parsley peeking over the tops of bags. The vegetable stand, decimated by the invading forces, is a rubble of wooden boxes and rolling cabbage heads. Sometimes a glance into your neighbor's cart yields valuable intelligence. A jar of borscht is spotted. Surely a tribunal of women will convene as stern as a Pentagon council. The word will go out. She cooks from a jar.
Sinful.
Sinful.
Absolutely sinful. Jamie, you're learning things.
Yes, well, these days we all cook from jars.
All right. Remember, yes. Jamie doesn't write about food because there was no supermarket in North San as I recall.
Yes. I like very much to read my grandfather's dream.
Surely.
My family is from the Lower East Side, and my father was born in Poland and came as a young child with my grandfather, and this is kind of a family story. And my family is still on the Lower East Side, some of them. My grandfather's dream. Stitching the minutes, a long seam of waiting for a time free of the urgency of feeding 5, bent over the machine as he would bend over his Talmud. He issued a sigh as long as the thread that joined the trousers he sewed and sewed. Some thought they heard a prayer beneath that sigh, a bracha kept tucked in the recesses of his throat that rushed out behind his tired breath to give him strength. Others thought they heard him mutter something about a gold watch, or a dowry, or a broken promise. Often, as he returned home from his work, he would sit wearily over a midrash, his thimble finger tapping his temple, and hum to himself as he read. Another long sigh would punctuate the end of his reading, and the children would be ushered in for dinner. Once, my father grew brave and asked him what it was he sighed about. My grandfather turned away and answered, "My dream, my son." "And what is your dream, Papa?" He held him close and whispered, "Shabbos. I dream of Shabbos."
very touching. And for those who aren't aware, Shabbos is the Sabbath,
Yes.
in which no work is done, which can be a real blessing.
Yes. Yes. Would you like me to go on?
Sure.
I have a good friend, Gertrude Halstead, who is a poet and also a survivor. And this poem, Tin Shoes, is actually a story she told me. It's a short poem, but it speaks volumes about her experience. Tin shoes for Gertrude Halstead. Tin cans split to sole her shoes, carry a girl across Europe, a whole continent in motion, walking on tin, on paper, carrying their lives through forests, hiding in trees at the pounding of boots. Tin can shoes, clatter and clank betrayal. Their impact echoes pursuit. They are prey to boots. There is thunder in leather. In desperation, she lines them with moss, wraps them in rags, running to the border.
I was wondering, now that you have the 2 books and you've done television like here, and
Yes.
the klezmer and the ballet, and modern dance and whatnot, do you have any secret unfulfilled ambitions?
Yes. I very much want to complete a 3rd book. I very much want to have the generosity of time to produce a larger volume than Satchel. Yes.
Well, money wouldn't hurt either, I suppose.
No.
All right.
Being able to write full time would help a lot.
See
as
that?
well.
That would be nice.
Yes.
How about another poem?
Lies That I Would Tell You was written to my sons, who are grown and older than you are. And I could not read this poem while they were little. It was just too painful. And I think it's self-explanatory. Lies that I would tell you. Fear of your fear shortens my breath. Forgive my lies. They are as innocent as history. Chabnish Moida, don't be afraid. I have borne you in a quiet place that bears no scars of battle, in a city whose walls and towers never sway or wear signs decrying your nationality. The earth will not open and swallow you. The planets will not align themselves in destructive symmetry. Children are never the targets of bullets. No soldier will march you to the gorge. Your flesh will never turn to ash. My arms will hold you through fire, fog, and night. You will hear me whisper in siren and tumult. This will never happen.
My gosh. And don't bet the rent. Do people ask you for advice on writing?
I do participate in workshops, and I am a pretty effective editor, line editor. And I have edited several, I've edited magazines as well as some anthologies. So, yes, some people do ask me for advice.
What do you generally tell them?
Less is best. That's what I always say.
Except here, I'd like to squeeze one more poem in.
Okay, one more? Well, would you like the poem that the dance group
Sure.
choreographed, okay? Tsena.
Yeah.
There was a popular song in the 50s when I was growing up called Tsena.
Obviously, we can't do the dance. There isn't room.
Or the music, but if you know the music, hum it to yourself. Okay. Tsena, Tsena. There you are, dancing with your child, the one you thought could never be born, whirling her in tattooed arms, your faces flushed with the joy of her first year, rose-colored sunrise after the long night, twirling her to the music of the tsena, holding her high as if in thanks to the God you thought had forsaken you. This child, fondled and touched with awe, each strand, each finger, a miracle. The three of you dancing in the dim lights of a Brooklyn apartment, dancing away the ashen smoke and hopeless years. This child, this dance, this song, sweeping back the darkness. Tsena.
Tsena indeed. Thank you, Marilyn Mohr. Thank you, Janie Manning. Thank you for watching.